Hi, collective. It's me. I'm back. I said I was gonna come back this tonight. I had to get the other messages out because I'm outside smoking my cigarette, minding my business, but I'm giving you guys some insight on my journey of when I was 10 years old. I had just turned 10, and it was in the summer. I was living in West Philly on Gaynor Road, and my mother's brother, Raymond Barnes, she was discussing on the phone with my uncle for a long time about him moving up to Philadelphia with her. Okay, but her reason was, it was just her and her brother, Irvin, who was living up from Oklahoma, that came up to Philadelphia with my dad. And mind you, these are the people that ran with my parents when they ran from Oklahoma, due to the fact of my father raping and molesting the boys in the church and families and in the community. Okay, I never knew about my Uncle Raymond until I was 9 years old. He had came to visit. I guess he wanted to get a feel. My mom had called him up and told him to get a feel of Philadelphia and see if he could find him a place up here for him and his family, he had three. Actually, he has four kids. His son is in the military. He's the junior. I don't know him at all, but he is a blood relative. And his sister, the second child, her name is Lanita. The twins is Raynetta and Dinetta. One is light skinned and one is dark skinned. Now, my uncle had a lot of issues that I didn't know about, and he was very, very, very adamant about letting me know that he does not like church. He does not like to pray. He does not like to go to ceremonies. He don't even like to sit in the church. So, and his excuse was because they went so much when they was kids, he just made a promise to himself that he would never go back. I know how that can go. But learning through the process, when he had came back, it was that next year that he had came back, and he was living in the basement with all the girls. Now, mind you, my dad had fixed, our house was a really, really big house. And again, like I said, collective, my house was haunted. It had a lot of entities and demon spirits walking around and dead people and stuff, due to the fact of my parents conjuring them up, okay? They had me in illusion thinking that I was seeing stuff when it wasn't true. So, okay. So, excuse me, collective, that was my baby boy. Anyway, um, it started off when I was 10 years old, 9 going on 10. And my Uncle Raymond had came from Oklahoma. He moved up the next year, and he stayed in the basement with the girls. The basement was renovated and split into 4 rooms. So you had one room for the Bournes family girls, and then one room for the Taylor family girls, and then you had his room by himself. My uncle would make sure every night that he would walk through the room with underwear on because he wanted me to see his penis. And it started off that way. Now, mind you, incest it still is running in my family till this day, because it's all a part of a sexual initiation with this occult crap. Now, mind you, at this time, collective, my uncle went from walking around in the room with his underwear on to having me serve him, and my mom telling me to serve him every time he wants something. That was how I was brought up, which was wrong. I felt uncomfortable about it, and this was the very, very, very beginning of when it first started. And I told my mom in confidence, I told her I didn't want to serve my uncle anymore because I didn't feel comfortable around him. I didn't know what it was, but he had a really nasty aura around him. And when I said that, 5-5 popped up. So it's a shift. The shift change happened when I had spoken up. My mom had said to me, she threatened me. She said, your uncle likes when you serve him. Your uncle wants you around. He likes your energy. He likes you. These are the words my mom said. And she told me if I had ever backed away from catering to him when he asked me to do something, even though he likes me, and he said to my mom that he would rather me serve him than his daughter, she fed me to the wolves on purpose. She knew that her brother had intentions on raping me. Like I said, collective, my parents did this to me on purpose to traumatize me, to keep me from figuring out that they was harnessing and harvesting my energy for abundance, okay? When I had started trying to wake up, I had struggled with a lot of headaches and a lot of mental dismemberment. I was always confused. I was always upset and angry. And it wasn't me. I was always depressed and isolated and stuff. And I felt overlooked and overheard. So just to make a long story short, my uncle was pressed about not getting me pregnant, and he didn't want anybody to find out about him doing what he was doing to me. So he decided to sodomize me and force me to suck his dick. I was forced to suck his dick just about almost every night. And I was sodomized, you could say not on a regular, but it was calculated, okay? He always waited for a certain time to do it. I don't know why, but he did. It happened for about 3 years. I remember when I was sitting in my aunt's room, my aunt Pamela Borens, who is married to my cousin Ashley's father, Irvin Borens, who is Deanna Borens, her maiden name, but her marriage name is Taylor, last name is Taylor. Her brother and his wife was in on it. When she was doing my hair for school, her and my cousin, like I said, me and Ashley, we always got our hair done at the same time. We got same hairdos, okay? So she asked me a question when she was looking at a show on TV called Cops. Or I think it was World's Dumbest Criminal or something like that. And in the process of looking at the show, she asked me a question. Has anybody been touching on you? I didn't respond. She asked my cousin first, and my cousin lied, of course, and she said, no, of course not. But then when she asked me, I hesitated to respond because I didn't want to talk about it. I was traumatized, you know. I felt like if I spoke up, I was going to get beat because that was the thing in my home. It's like if you did something wrong, you did not get a whooping from that parent. You got beat from every adult that was in that house. And it was unjust. And my dad used stun guns on us. He whipped us with switches, belts. He threatened me with cast iron skillets. He threatened to choke me to death. He also said that he hated me, and you know, he didn't say he hated me. Let me take that back. He let me know that he did not like me or love me, and he hated me due to the fact of him making a statement to me that he wished I was never born, and I was a mistake, and I was a problem child. When I know I was never a problem child, because I never brought drama to his house. It just came to me because that's what they were doing, working witchcraft and shit. So after my aunt asking me these questions, she took me to my mom's room, and then she said, if you don't tell what's going on, I'm going to tell your mom, and I'm going to make you tell. So I ended up telling my mom, and my mom and dad was in the room. My dad said nothing. He did not have an angry look on his face. It was not a care in the world. My mom, she was calm. Her face also was blank. The reaction was very numb. It was like, oh well, we might as well just call the police and get all of this started so it can cover up what we're doing. So the next day, I woke up and the house was empty. It was clean as a whistle. All the kids was gone. The only adults that was in the house was my aunt Pam, my uncle Irvin, my mom Jane, my mom Deanna, and my dad James Taylor. Okay, and I remember me asking my mom, "Why is the house empty? I don't understand. If they're coming to talk to me and question me, why is it that the house is clean and nobody's here?" And she told me because she wanted me to just focus on the questions that the detective and the DA was going to ask me, and she didn't want me to be distracted. When in all the underlying motive was to get rid of people around that could get rid of the kids that can be interrogated that actually would speak up and snitch on my mom and my dad, my aunt, my uncle. Okay. So the doctor that I seen had assigned me, and the judge had assigned me a therapist. I did go through the process for a whole year. It was a waste of time because it didn't help me at all. She wasn't really willing to discuss what needed to be discussed and purged out. It was more like her just asking interrogative questions over and over in different ways. And her tactic for manipulation was trash. So I never really said anything about it until one day I got pissed off and I told her, I said, you know what, we've been talking about the same thing over and over, which is about nothing. And I'm not really healing or getting anything out of this. So I don't feel comfortable talking to you. So in order for me to give you what you need, in order for the judge to know what's going on, I said this to her at 13, y'all. I told my therapist 12/21 when I said that. Oh, look at there. My twin is looking at my video. Anyway, so, um, yeah, she wasn't really helping me. And then I asked her the question, like, what about you? What happened to you? Why are you the way you are? What made you do this? What, what geared you up to want to be a therapist to help children who's been traumatized through rape? That was my question. And she smiled in my face and said, oh, and we're not talking about me. We're talking about you. And when she made that statement, I straight up just shut down from her all the way. I called my mom to come and get. No, my mom was there. She just wasn't allowed to be in the room. But I told my mom I was ready to go because it really wasn't working. Which is, it didn't. I had to learn how to heal on my own. I don't know how I did it. I was being led by the divine to do it. But in all, I'm just saying, collective, sometimes therapy helps for certain people, and then you have certain people that don't really need therapy from man. They get the therapy from the divine, and they get the healing, and they know how to heal themselves. In that case, that was me. So I really didn't need anybody to, I guess you could say, give me therapy and stuff like that, because I was already being led to heal myself, because nobody really was. I was isolated. My family did that to me a lot. Anyway, so that's what happened. My uncle raped me for 3 years. I called the police. I went to court. I filed for a restraining order. He can't come to Philadelphia for nothing. If I come down to Oklahoma, he can't even be 100 feet of me. And it's a permanent charge. I don't have to keep going back and forth to the courthouse to pay for the paperwork. It's just whatever that the judge stamped on. That's what it was. But now going to the part of after the court situation, I spoke to my uncle who flew in from Tulsa, Oklahoma. His name was Lenny, and the other one was Ben. They both ignored me as if I was not born. When I had walked up to my uncle and asked him to give me a hug, he ignored me. He did not want to acknowledged me. He definitely looked at me as if I was shit on a stick. He was pissed off at me because my mom had gotten my uncle locked up. And when her mom had found out about it, her mom was upset, and she told her, well, why didn't she just sweep it under the rug and forgive? That was her brother, and she should have never did that. My mom turned that all on me and made me feel like I was not important. It was her situation. They're rejecting her. They're bashing her. They're mad at her because of what she did. And she turned around and pushed me away from her and locked her door numerous of times. And not wanting to speak to me. She made me feel like it was my fault on why her family disowned her, or they made her feel like they disowned her for her getting her brother locked up. What I'm saying to you, collective, is you can overcome being raped. You can overcome being traumatized in life. You do not have to sit and wallow in sorrow and misery, because you're not the only person. And I'm not being mean, or, you know, I'm not being mean. That's not what I'm trying to do, collective. I want to inspire and encourage you. We are not the only ones that have been taken advantage of and violated. It happens to people every day, okay? Just like women lose babies every day, they have a miscarriage. It's just a cycle that you go through in life. And instead of holding on to it and trying to, I guess you can say, use it as leverage for motivation in the wrong way, it can throw you off, and your judgment could be clouded. And you really do need the divine to lead you through such traumatic things. And because it was so traumatic to me, I had gotten immune to a lot of things happening to me due to projections, and my family and my household being so cold to me. It wasn't hard for me to be aloof. Like, I felt every emotion, every pain, every sorrow, every hurt, every grief, every emotion that you can think of from a child that was traumatically, you know, preyed upon. But I didn't want to feel that energy, and I didn't want to be in it. Even as a kid, a teenager, I was like prone to just wanting to move forward. And I forced myself to move forward. I didn't let it hold me back. It did make me not trust men. I didn't trust my father. I didn't trust my uncle. I didn't trust my mom. It was making me bitter, because I felt like my parents had threw me into the lion's den, and that's true, because they did. And it was crazy because my discernment was even potent then. And they did things to keep me blinded to the fact of the chaos that they were projecting in my life, because they did not want me to know about them, their whereabouts, their things that they do with people, them fucking up the church's money, my dad lying about they lost the church to the owner, when it was because my dad fucked up the church's money. It was just, he was paying for sex addiction things and drugs, alcohol, and parties and festive threesomes and all that other stuff, and buying film so that he can keep recording the boys in the church being raped downstairs in the basement of the church. And they actually didn't think that I was going to find out about that. And it's like, you lied to me for so long. You betrayed me for so long. What you done to me was unjust. And it was like, you're not going to get away with that. You think that you counteracted karma by getting the DA and the police and the judge and shit involved, and it didn't do anything but just backfire on you anyway, because you kept working maliciousness on me even after. Now, I remember my uncle forced me to stick a banana in my vagina because he was trying to get me to break my hymen. I never had a hymen. Some women are born with them, some women aren't. I never had one. How I knew I never had one, because when I first had my first pap smear from a specialist, she told me that I never had one. I never had one. I don't know if it was true or not, but I did not bleed when I lost my virginity at all. Period. Point blank. And the first time that I lost my virginity through the vagina was with a 18-year-old boy named Michael, who had beautiful eyes, and he lived counter across from my house, and he watched me. I didn't know that he was preying on me, and I definitely didn't know that he was all a part of a scheme to keep me in conflict and confusion. My mom is definitely the ringleader of all of this things that has been happening to me, but collective, I'm letting you know now, you do not have to let it overtake you or drag you down. You keep pushing forward, you keep speaking the truth, you do as if what the divine asks you to do, and you have no regrets on any decisions of your discernment that you use for the divine to use you. Okay, these people have been doing this all my life, and it's nothing has changed. Okay, they went from working the same spell work to trying different spell work, and it's still not working. Okay, it's not going to work. I'm actually sitting outside past 11 o'clock when my ancestors and ascended masters had me in the house to keep me from being projected on. I'm sitting outside. And this is the evidence. It's what they're doing is not working. What they continue to do is not working. They're going to continue doing it until somebody else die. Because I know for a fact that they're already afraid. And they should be, because the divine ain't nothing to play with. I don't take no credibility for anything going on in my life. Because everything that is happening for me and to me is for me to grow and elevate and understand the mindset of traumatic trauma. So by me being a researcher and, I look up things, I don't do it the same way everybody else do, and I'm not going to. I do it the way that I'm being led, and I'm doing it the way that's comforting to me. So, everybody is wondering how is it that I can see, I know what this is, I know what that is, because I come subject to the divine, and I let him use me as a vessel however he chooses. I would rather the Lord use me than for me to be used and abused from man and the devil. So, collective, if anybody has been raped, please know that you are not by yourself. Please know that you can heal. Please know that you can move forward. Please know that you are not going to be stagnant. Please know that you are not by yourself. Please know that you are loved. Please know that you are helped. Please know that everything that I am saying to you is